Hello students, welcome back. So, last time we went over if statements and then we went into nested if statements. Now we're going to go and actually have a situation where technically an if statement is true for two different things, but we only want it to show one. So, let's just run this module right here and I'll show you what the end result is going to wind up looking like. Oh, come on, where did the, okay, let me actually click on the correct thing. Now I can go and run module. So, kind of the same way, please enter your age. Okay, my age is 31. You're an adult. Okay, let me just go and run this again, and, you know, that didn't seem too difficult to do. Run module. Let's just say I am, I don't know, 55. You're middle-aged. Okay, so let's just say this time I go and I say run module, and this time I'll say, I don't know, I'm 78. You're a senior. Oh, this seems quite easy. It's just if age is something, right? Yeah, we could do it that way. But here's the sort of problem we were having before with that previous assignment, right? So, we were saying, please enter a number for how old you are, and it would go and it would pick every single thing that it was true about. So if I were to do it this way and say, you know, if my age is 10, 15, whatever, if I pick 26, it would print out 4 different things because all 4 equations were true. I don't want all 4 things to be true. If I'm 25, you know, maybe I just only want this one thing to print out, and I want to skip the rest of these things. Okay. How do I do that? Well, you're going to have to do something a little bit different than just simple if. So, first off, let's just change the name of this program to welcome to the, I don't know, the age determiner. Yeah, that sounds like totally a legit name of a product. And close it all out. And of course, we can have, you know, my age again, enter your age, how old are you, enter a number, and now we have ourselves our normal thing. So, how we used to go about this in our normal assignments was essentially something along the lines of, if blank, then blank happens. You know, that's essentially how an if statement generally works. And then we would also, you know, as part of that thing, we would also have another if statement inside of it if need be. But that's not the only thing we can do about this. So if blank, then blank happens, we can also do in the exact same thing, else if blank happens, then blank. You know, that sort of thing. Oh, sorry, let me just use the exact same terminology here just to make sure it understands. And then, of course, we can keep doing another else, and we can do the same, so else, so for anything else, do blank. Those are the 3 types of ways we can make an if statement. These are the little modifiers we can do, an else if and an else. So, let's just start out with our very first thing. So if my age is greater than 55, colon, because remember, you need that colon to make it do the indent for enter. And I'll, you know, just simply hit print, and I'll just say, you're a senior. Okay, nice, easy, understandable if statement. It's another if statement. So, that's it, right? If your number is greater than 55, it'll print you're a senior, right? Okay, it's fine. But what happens if I were to do something and just say else? And else is for everything else. So else gets its own little colon at the end, and I'll put else, and I'll just print, I don't know, you're negative years old? You know, just for funny laughs. So, I'll say I'm 67, and it says you're a senior, and it worked that out. But now I'm going to hit something that's not greater than 55, just to show this off. So execute. How old are you? I'm 44. You're negative years old. Because it was something else. It was something that was not this statement. So for everything else that is not what you have here, it will print this. But obviously I'm not negative years old. I typed in 44. So now you see the issue of this. But, so if you have a situation where there's two options, instead of having to do something where it's like you say, you know, if my age is less than 55, okay, print, you know, you are not a senior, and you see how much space is taking, takes up another line and whatnot. You can just simply go and say, else. And you can just get rid of that and say, I don't know, I'm 23. You're not a senior. You know, it is able to do the same equation without having to type in another equation. This part right here is considered part of the same question right here, because this if and this else are on the same line. They are both part of the same thing, even though they're two separate little bits. The computer recognizes them as that. So that's how an else works. If there's anything other than the thing you pick, it'll do something else. But we can also do else if, which is separated, but which is shortened into ELIF. You see how it turned pink? ELIF. Here we go. I can now do another thing. I can do my age, I don't know, is less than 40. And I'll print out, whoops. Now what did I do? I did an else if. So I have an if, but what is it checking? It's checking nothing. So let me fix that before I give myself an error. So if my age is less than 40, or sorry, is greater than 40, I'll say, you know, I don't know. We're just going to say that's print, you know, your middle age, right? Print your middle-aged. There we go. I don't know if you want to count middle-aged as being, you know, that. And then, of course, I'll just do another. Actually, I'll just do it right here, right like this. So if I do, please enter how old you are, 55. And it says you're middle-aged. Why? Because we were checking to see if I was greater than 55, and I was not. But if I did an else if, it checked that. So now, if I do this again and I say I'm 39, and it will give me nothing because it didn't match the if or the else if. So I'll just do another else. I'm sorry, not else if. I'll do if my age is greater than 19. There we go. I'll put print you're an adult. Now, I guess you're probably going, well, what about, hold up, I thought legally age 18 was adult or whatnot. Okay, well, if, here's why I did this. If my age is greater than 12, print you're a teenager. I was counting 18 and 19 as teenager in this video. So, and of course, I keep wanting to put else. I want to keep doing the same thing, but no, it's ELIF if you want else if, and it'll count as part of that. So, if, you know, my age is greater than 4. I'll just put arbitrarily 4. Print you are a kid. Okay, I will mark that as red as well, but there we go. So now we've got ourselves a little bit of a chain of logic here. So we got if this, but if you're not that, it'll check down here. And if you're not that, it'll check down here. If you're not that, it'll check down here. And it will keep doing this over and over and over again, basically, until eventually it finds the first one that is correct. So That is why this is different from the other if statements that we've made. Because those other if statements all count as separate checks. You know, one if statement was here and it would check it. The next if statement was here and it would check it. The next if statement was down here and it would check it. This all counts as one check. So it will only bring us one answer. So even if if you notice, I am greater than 4, I'm greater than 12, I'm greater than 19, but if I type in 45, it only says I'm middle-aged. You see? Because it only went to the first correct answer, which was this. And once it found the first correct answer, it skipped everything else. So here's what the important thing is to know. An if statement will only return the first correct answer. If there is more than one correct answer, it's not going to do anything. So, you know, the second one is just going to be skipped. That's what an elif is used for. So if you have multiple correct answers and you don't want to show those multiple correct answers, you will need to use else if. And of course, let me just use a couple more here. Elif, you know, my age is greater than -1, because if you're greater than -1, you're a baby, right? Because 0 years old counts as a newborn. I'll just put you're a baby. Of course, I'm not sure what a baby is doing it with a computer, but there we go. And for all other answers, because, you know, maybe they typed in something weird, you know, maybe they typed in negative numbers, I'll just put in a print statement here. I really want to use my parentheses today for some reason. I'll put, you know, whoops, you're negative years old. So for everything that is not above 55, not above 40, not above, you know, 19, not above 12, not above 4, not above -1. So for anything that is not above -1, obviously must be a negative number. So I just put you're negative years old, question mark. So now if I try to do that and I put, you know, -9, you're negative years old. It checked this, found it was false. 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 Found it was false, found it was false. So therefore, it must have been that. It was something other than all of these questions. And that's how that would work. Now, why would you want to do an else here, where you have all this long thing? Well, what happens if you're filling out a form and someone typed in something that you did not expect? You know, type in 1, 2, or 3, please, for your mode. Do you want option 1, option 2, or option 3? I want option 7. Well, what happens when that program? It goes, sorry, that was an invalid response, please try again. So this is where you would have your please try again, you know. This is your, sorry, I didn't understand that, please retry. This is where you would just tell them to, you know, let's do this again, that was something outside of my given parameters. Because if you don't have that else, what happens if I type in negative, you know, 8? The answer is nothing will happen. And then you're looking at this going, wait a minute, please enter an age. My age determiner hasn't worked. Oops, and of course I still have it saying older than instead of age determiner. So, you see how it is? It's busted. So, with that else statement there, else, you know, I could just even say something like, you know, print, you know, that's an error. You know, I could just put that's an error or whatnot. So, if I say I'm -3 years old, that's an error. So, key takeaways from this. An if statement will always pick the first correct answer. So if you're using elifs, that is a way to have multiple checks, but only get one answer. Also, you probably would use an else statement for anything that is not any of the other checks. Now then, the other thing you probably want to notice, please pay attention to all these different things because, as I said, an if statement will only get the first correct one. So instead of greater than, if I were to put these as less thans by mistake, you'll notice what'll happen, and let me just show this to you so that you realize what happens here. So if I hit execute, and I type in, whoops. So if I type in, please enter my age, -7, that should be an error, right? But I'll hit enter, and it says, I'm a senior. Why? Because -7 is less than -55. So please, -7 is less than +55. So, always make sure you understand which end of the caret you are pointing these at. Or, if you're going to do that, make sure you realize if you're using less than, start with your small numbers. If you're using greater thans, start with your big numbers. But it all works as one long chain of logic. So, once you have this all working and settled out, please submit it through Moodle, save it, do all that, and I'll see you in the next video. Because we're going to start doing some little operands on this as well.